Rey Arthur explica, the Battle of Waterloo, 1815, the fall of Napoleon. They say all great emperors fall, but not all of them slip on the muddy hills of Belgium while trying to outmaneuver the Duke of Wellington and a Prussian general with a grudge. Ah, greetings, noble viewer. It is I, King Arthur, yes, that one. The sword, the round table, the unfortunate musical adaptations. And today, I shall tell you a tale of hubris, horses, and how one man's final gamble reshaped the destiny of Europe. Before we unsheath the blade of history, let me ask you something. Do you enjoy watching overconfident tyrants get smacked by reality? Excellent. Then grab your goblet, click that like button like you're raising it in triumph, and if you're new here, do subscribe. I promise I only draw my sword for the most absurd moments in history. And do leave a comment. Tell me, was Napoleon a genius, or just a very short gambler with a nice hat? Now then, Waterloo. Even the name sounds dramatic. It was the year 1815, and Napoleon Bonaparte had just escaped exile from the island of Elba like a theatrical villain. Cape, horses, music, the whole show. Europe was collectively gasping like a scandalized noblewoman. Oh no, he's back? Yes, and he wanted his empire too. Old Boney, as I like to call him, had a plan. Defeat the armies of Europe one by one before they could unite. Classic divide and conquer. Very Roman of him. But unlike Caesar, Napoleon didn't count on two things: British stubbornness and a Prussian revenge arc. Facing him was Arthur Wellesley, the Duke of Wellington. A man so British, he probably bled tea and insulted people with nothing but his eyebrows. He was joined, eventually, by Field Marshal Blücher, a Prussian general who looked like he'd fight you just for blinking too loud. Together, these two would spell doom for the French emperor. On the 18th of June, under gloomy skies and soggy fields, the Battle of Waterloo began. Napoleon, ever the showman, delayed his attack until mid-morning. Why? Because the ground was too wet for artillery. Yes, really. The fate of Europe depended on puddles. He launched his attacks in waves. First at Hougoumont, a fortified farmhouse the British held like it was Buckingham Palace. The French poured in troops. The British refused to budge. It was less a battle, more an extremely violent housewarming party. Then came the center assault. Imagine thousands of French soldiers marching uphill into musket fire and cannon blasts. Heroic? Certainly. Smart? Not really. And don't get me started on the cavalry charge. Napoleon sent wave after wave of horsemen straight into prepared British infantry squares. Do you know what happens when horses charge disciplined squares of bayonets? The horses get very confused and the soldiers get very smug. But Napoleon wasn't done yet. He had one last card to play: the Imperial Guard. These were his elite troops, the crème de la crème, veterans of Austerlitz, Jena, Wagram. They had never broken in battle, until now. As they marched forward, steady and grim, Wellington pointed and simply said, "Now's your time, lads!" The British counterattack was fierce, and for the first time in history, the Imperial Guard wavered, then broke. A ripple of panic spread through the French lines. The army collapsed. Napoleon fled. And just like that, it was over. Not just a battle, but an era. Waterloo wasn't just the end of Napoleon. It was the final nail in the coffin of an age of imperial ambition that had consumed Europe for decades. After that day, Napoleon would never command an army again. Instead, he was packed off to another island, St. Helena this time, a rock in the middle of nowhere guarded more heavily than a dragon's hoard. No more escapes. So, what can we learn from all this? That ambition without limits leads to ruin. That muddy fields are deadlier than armies. Or maybe that no matter how many battles you win, one wrong move can undo it all. And as your loyal narrator, I, King Arthur, humbly ask, if you enjoyed this royal rant, don't forget to subscribe. There's more where that came from. Betrayals, bloodshed, questionable leadership choices. Leave a comment below and tell me what moment in history you'd like me to unsheath next. Until then, hold your ground, choose your allies wisely, and for heaven's sake, watch out for puddles.